Hey, welcome back everybody. So today I'm working on the 84300 SD and we're working on the central locking system. I noticed that when I pressed the lock on the driver's side, the other locks were not going down. The S classes have a dedicated vacuum pump in the trunk. So I've actually already removed. It's actually in this little rubber foam housing and held in by this metal bracket. So I've already removed the vacuum pump and I've tested it on the bench and it tests good. It's working fine. It sucks correctly and it blows correctly. That's how the locks worked on these cars. So the next thing I'm going to do on the master switch, the lock switch for the driver's door, it has an electrical switch. It switches one way when you press it down, switches the other way when you pull it up, and that tells the vacuum pump over in the trunk whether to blow in air and pop the locks up or suck a vacuum and pull the locks down. So we're going to pop off this door panel and take a look at that switch. Alright guys, we've done the door panel removal videos many times, but I will go ahead and demonstrate on this car. First thing we need to do is remove the chrome trim piece here. And I just like to put all my screws in the floorboard, that way I don't lose them. Alright. Next thing we want to do, we want to go ahead and pop off the seat control buttons. And the way I do that is with a little microchip remover out of a computer case. It works perfect for these. I'll show it to you. These used to come in computer repair kits, and they clip right around here, and you can just pull them right off. There we go. All right, next thing we want to do is remove this trim piece right here. Right here. And then this piece just removes. Slides up. There's a clip down there. There you go. See that clip? Clips in to the door. There you go. Clips into the door right there. Get that little clip out so you just pull up on it. All right. Next thing we want to do, we'll start, so there's a plastic backing piece behind the handle. You just stick a little flathead in there. And you gently pry that out. There you go. Very gently, you don't want to break anything or leave any marks. There we go. And that piece just comes right out. There we go. And what that does, that exposes a small screw right behind there. And that screw is what holds this, this framing in place, really right here. And then this is clipped onto it. But we got to take that screw out. Now we're going to go for the screws under the armrest. There we go. And there's one right under here. Okay. Now, once you have those guys off, you can gently... Oh, before I do that, and I forget, I'm going to go ahead and undo the lock right here. That just unscrews. Okay, now this piece just kind of pulls out of here, and there you go. So once we get this pried back, you can see there is a bolt right there. That bolt detaches the armrest right here. There we go. There's a little snap ring. Sorry, let me get this to focus. There we go. There's a little snap ring, plastic snap ring right there. We got to pop that off, and that allows this panel to separate from the seat controls. I'm going to go ahead, pop that guy off of here. There we go. Set that back in the floorboard. And then that allows that to disconnect. Now we can better get access to this screw back here. There we go. All right. There we go. Oh, so I just leave all that together. It's got a little foam piece here that helps with, I think, vibration or noise. And there's our screw right there. I'm just going to lay that in the floorboard. All right, everything is disconnected. Now there are clips behind this door. There's hooks down here, here, I think maybe up here. So you gotta kind of push up and unhook those. But at the same time you wanna clear, there we go. This one's coming off easy. Oh, beautiful. Oh, beautiful. That just came right off. And the hooks are still intact. That's fantastic. Oh yeah, this one has been apart. The plastic is not here, so someone probably fixed the window motor on this side of the car. Otherwise we'd have the plastic membrane. So we're going to put the plastic membrane back. I have some of that material, but the hooks are still intact, so that's good. And we want to go ahead, I forgot to do this, we need to remove the courtesy light so we can disconnect the wiring. There we go. That's disconnected. Then we can pull that through the door. Let's see, there's a piece of plastic in here. What is that? Huh, I don't know what that is. Oh, interesting. That's where they previously replaced the window motor, and that is the cover from the old motor that was in here. I guess it had fallen off because this one has a cover on it. Anyway, I am just inspecting. What we want to get to is the lock. Here it is. Let me get this door frame out of the way. I mean this door panel out of the way. Okay, what we're looking at here. There we go. So our lock is up here out of view, but right here you have two bolts, and that releases the actuator right here. And this actuator, this is what controls that electronic switch to tell the vacuum pump to turn on or off to unlock the doors. And I need to inspect this and take a look at the electrical connections to see what's going on here. So I'm going to get, that looks like maybe a 8mm, maybe an 8mm. I'm going to take those out and pop this guy off and take a look. Okay, I've detached the actuator from the door, and we can see there's the electrical plug that powers the pump in the back. And I'm guessing this thing is bad. So it says Hella on it. I don't know if this is the original one or not. So we're going to go ahead and power up the vehicle, and I'm going to actuate that and see if I can hear the pump moving. All right, guys, we can in fact hear the pump running now. Hear it? So here's how I know there's a vacuum leak. It's running. If I unplug it and cover the hole, it stops. So that means there's not getting enough pressure, enough suction, enough vacuum to tell that circuit board to stop. So let's track down our vacuum leak. All right, guys, I found the problem. So I went around every door panel and confirmed the vacuum lines were correctly connected and the actuators were in good condition. And I went around every door panel. Also verified back here at the trunk. Those are in excellent condition. The trunk actuator back here, this under here, and the gas cap, gas door actuator. So I just started tracing my way around And if I had just started up here first, there we go. That vacuum line was disconnected, and that's what was causing our problem. So let's go ahead and plug that back in and see what happens. Okay, there we go. And this is just a little panel that you take out these two plastic rivets, they pop out, and you can reattach it. But this covers all of our vacuum lines. It feeds these back here, and those go to all our doors. So now that that's reconnected, let's go give it a shot. And also, I'm going to take this as an opportunity, which is a maintenance item on these after 30 years or so, is to lubricate all of the window tracks. So we're going to get up there and grease everything really well before we put everything back together, and that'll ensure those windows last, you know, another 30 years. You know what's funny, guys, is where I found that vacuum leak, that's like the beginning of the chain, and the trunk is the end of the chain. And so just depending on the mood I'm in, sometimes I start at the beginning, sometimes I start at the back. And if I had this time I started at the back and I worked my way through the entire system all the way to the first connection at the front. If I had just started at the front, I would have saved myself a lot of time. But anyway, you know, sometimes it's all the way at the back at the fuel door. So I started back there today. It's like 50-50 shot of starting on the right side. Anyway, let's go ahead and try this vacuum system out. Now, I have the actuator down with my left hand, and I'm going to go ahead and lock it. There we go. Now I'm going to unlock it. Works perfect. Let's look over here. There's the passenger door. Works outstanding. And then we had a disconnected line right down there under the floorboard. So I have now officially gone through every component of this central locking system, and it is now in perfect working condition, and this will be trouble-free for another 30 years. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and grease the window track since I have the door panels off, and we're going to get this all back together. Stay tuned. All right, guys, you notice I just have my armrest resting in the door. That's because I needed to plug back in the switch. If you don't have the rear switches connected, the switches up front won't lower the window. So what you guys can see right here, I'm going to move this out of the way. Move our armrest. All right, what you guys see right here is the window track. And this has a little nylon bushing that slides back and forth. Now you can see there's still some good factory grease in there. But these have to be greased up really good in order to last a long time. So we're going to go in here and re-grease these window tracks. And I just use Moly graphite. This stuff is good. We're going to put that all up in there. And then, there you go. You guys can see through this inspection hole. There you go. See those gears right there? So we're going to get in there. I don't know if you guys can see that. We're going to lubricate this all really good. Get these gears all lubricated up, and that'll last a long time. Anyway, let's go finish doing this door and the rest of the doors. And here we are on the driver's door. Let's get that all lubricated in there real good. Nice, very nice. This door gets the most use, so we want to make sure this one really gets lubricated. And then we also have our gear right here. I like to get some all along those gear teeth. There we go. That'll get all in those gears very nicely. And we'll put some right up in there. Very nice. That is going to be a very good operating window for a long time. Let's go hit the rest of the doors. Okay, now that I've got the electric lock actuator back in here, I had another piece of this plastic membrane. I just pulled this off my parts car. So we're going to put this back on here to protect any moisture from getting behind here. And we've lubricated all the windows. And so to put this back on, you just spray. I use Super 77 multi-purpose adhesive by 3M, and you just spray it back on where the factory had it. Pretty easy. And you just want to make sure that you line up your holes where the armrest goes through. So right there. And let's get this side over here. And let's spray a little right behind there. There we go. And you want to put your courtesy light wiring. Hopefully you guys can see that. Back to the plastic there. And there we go. That is back to factory original, how Mercedes intended it. Alright, now we're just going to reassemble this door panel. Then we want to get all our clips in place. There we go. Guys, that's probably the easiest I have ever put on a door panel. That thing just slid exactly into place. Normally it takes me at least 2 or 3 minutes. All right, we have the vacuum pump reinstalled in its metal protective enclosure. You see the lines coming out right there. So now we want to put back in the inner trunk lining, button that back up. And just while I have that trunk lining out, you can see how clean it is in here. That is the Cosmoline from the factory, that waxy substance that Mercedes would spray in here to keep it from rusting. And man, it's done its job. It's still there. Greasy and waxy all along there. It's working great. And you can see it's down here, little greasy stuff. And it's fantastic. Not a speck of rust anywhere on this car. Anyway, let's get that inner fender liner back in. All right, here's the inner fender liner, and I wanted to show you something that's unique about the SD compared to the D. You know, the 300D, it's a plastic liner, and it just tucks in here and straight up against the fender. Well, the SD, if you've ever ridden in an SD, you notice they're way quieter. They're way quieter on the inside when you're driving. And here's an example of the little things Mercedes would do to make that happen. You see, they glued little foam squares all on the back of the liner. So the liner never vibrates against the side of the car. These foam pads are pressed up against the side of the car. And that doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you do little stuff like that across the entire car, it does make a difference. In fact, looking at this right here, this is like some sort of liner over the wheel well. So they did a lot of little stuff like that on the S-Class. You can see there's what it looks like when the liner is installed. And behind there's all those foam squares that keep it from vibrating and making any noise. So that concept applies throughout the S-Class, and that's why they're much quieter cars. All right, we got everything back together. All right, last thing, guys, is to have that Becker radio restored and install it back in here. But let's check these locks now. So I'm going to press this lock. Beautiful. They all locked. Let's unlock it. super fast. Vacuum pump is working great. So it was raining a little bit while I was doing that. I had to like grab all the door panels and put them in the back seat because we're under a tent. And I got soaking wet, but the car didn't. Anyway, all that's back together, and we are done servicing the central locking system. And we also lubricated all of the windows. So man, this car is like this far away from being done. I'm going to send that off to New Jersey to have that original Becker restored. Get that back in here, and then we should be good. So see ya in the next video.